In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about a very interesting piece of price action that happened in the Euro USD 4-hour chart recently. This piece of price caught my attention because of the perfection in the way it happened. This sort of thing represents a good opportunity to explain the relationship between highs and lows in the chart and how their analysis can be one of the best tools available to read price. In the left piece of the chart, we can see the creation of lower highs and lower lows. It's important that you realize that price doesn't create any significant higher highs in that movement, and that shows the power of sellers on the way down. A lower low means that sellers were able to advance price in their direction, and a lower high means that sellers were able to stop buyers from creating a higher high. Both situations denote the dominance of sellers over the buyers. Needless to say, but the opposite is also true. When the market is creating higher highs and higher lows, it means that buyers are being able to advance price in their desired direction and that they are stopping sellers from creating lower lows. It's also important that you realize that price isn't always this simple, as the counterpoint between highs and lows can get quite intricate in certain situations due to the existence of different groups of buyers and sellers with different magnitudes. With that said, we can start talking about the mechanics of how the control of the market shifts from the hands of sellers to the buyers or vice versa. This is probably one of the most important things to learn in price action reading, because that is what is going to allow a trader to negotiate near the reversal points of the market. In other words, understanding how the power shifts between buyers and sellers will dramatically improve the way you trade. One of the many options we have to begin the apprehension of this process in a situation like this is the use of a simple trend line. If I draw a trend line that roughly catches the most important highs in this downward movement, you will begin to notice something interesting. At the end of the line, we can see that price switches sides. So instead of treating the line as resistance, it starts treating as support. We can see the validation of the line by looking at how many times price touches the line without violating it. The fact that the lower tails of candles touch the line and act as if there is a barrier there means that the line indeed has some importance. Beyond the validation of the line, notice that it is the first time that price closed above this line since the beginning of the downward movement. The nuance here is that the movement where price breaks this trend line doesn't show any unusual volatility. It's relatively normal price action, just like the rest of the downward movement. Beyond the slope barrier provided by the line, there is also a horizontal barrier provided by the same area of price. The upper tail of those candles are hitting something in that area, and they are not being able to break it at that point. Eventually, price breaks both barriers and starts showing a different kind of volatility to the upside. Notice that the relatively large green candle is larger than all of the previous candles in the downward movement. The sum of these subtle clues in price action is what tells you that the trend has changed direction. There is no single signal that will spark a green light to tell you that it has happened. It's a subtle process. I picked this example because it is as simple as it gets in terms of how the power transfer happens. Beyond all of that, we can also see that when there is some level of certainty after the bullish bar with more volatility, price ends up retracing back to the horizontal line to test it as a support, and it does the exact same thing a few bars later in the minor demand zone. If we step back a little bit, you'll see that this is the birthplace of an upward movement with almost 700 pips. This is the simplest form of the power transfer between buyers and sellers near reversal points of the market. But the problem is that this dynamic layers on top of itself, so most of the times this is a much more complicated process to analyze. However, the fundamental driver behind this game of power in the market is simple. The issue is that when you layer several simple mechanisms together in a way that one affects the other, the overall effect becomes complex. I have developed a series of trading courses that shed light onto all the nuances of the market so you become able to analyze it more professionally. If you have interest in learning more about it, please check out the video description to learn more. If you enjoyed this video, please help support the channel by clicking the like button, subscribing to the channel, sharing the video, and leaving your comment. Thank you for watching and take care.